Hello YouTube. Hello, hello. Another speed lab. Here with another one. We have Nina now. So this character I think is severely underrated and not talked about enough. I mean, people who do know the strength of this character talk about her a lot, but I still think she's really, really good. But the thing is, she is good in the right hands. Basically, you have to be a Nina player to be good with Nina. Like, someone like me can't utilize her that well. And by that I also mean when I'm doing the speed lab right now, I will not be able to cover a few things which is normally should be covered. Like, it should be covered, but I won't be able to cover them just because I can't do them. The main example here, the main thing I'm talking about here is the down forward 1 cancels. Like these things. Right? When they cancel this into another one. I am not labbing, I can't lab this that well because I can't do them well enough. If I lab this, I'm gonna lab it wrong, basically. I won't be canceling this fast enough just so I can see the the perfect frames, basically. I won't be able to know how many frames I have in the middle of the cancel. So something like this I won't be able to lab. But everything else, 100%, I'll cover. Well, hopefully everything else. Most likely I'll miss some stuff, but yeah. So this character is actually very, very strong, as I already said at the start of the vid. Not bad at all, but you have to be good as well to utilize her. But if you are good, she is really, really good. With this back sway technique, for example, which is very strong. This was strong in Tekken 7 as well. If you utilize this, it's really good. It has an automatic low block sometimes. Like when you do this, it blocks low automatically. Sometimes. So it's very, very useful. It's a good whiff punishment tool. You just do this, you see a whiff, right? You can also do some other moves, like back 2-2 instantly after it. It's a standing move, but you can still do it. Or you can even down forward 1-2 immediately after it. So you can use standing moves. So it's really, really good. But first, let's just talk about Nina in general for a little bit. So Nina is a very pressure-heavy character, where it can be a very pressure-heavy character. But she can also be played very, very defensively as well. So her pressure is very, very strong because of the down forward 1 cancels I just mentioned. Which I can't do well, right? But I do suggest like looking this up and see how they work. Because I'm pretty sure people know how this works, but I personally can't lab it myself, right? But other than that, there's a lot of strings like this that can be annoying. Something like this, which is new. Or something like forward 4, which also sidestep cancels. So forward 4 into sidestep cancel is very similar to the down forward 1-2 sidestep cancel. So they are very, very similar, and you have to know how to deal with them. Especially many cancels. If they do a lot of cancels, they'll just pressure you a lot. This is the main way a Nina player will pressure you. Basically the main way. So you have to be very careful about that. Other than that, Nina also can be played defensively, as I said. With this step, if the Nina player is good and uses this step a lot, she can create a lot of space. Like, you can see how much space I created by like doing like 2 of them, right? That's a lot of space. So you gotta be very careful. But not only that, Nina is also good at counter-hitting you. Her counter utility is actually really, really good. That's why I said this character is pretty strong in this game. Like, not only can she pressure you well, right? In the right hand, she can pressure really well. She can also play defensively, you know, create a lot of space, which also has good whiff punishment tools. For example, up forward 2-1, this is a whiff punisher. I won't be talking about it almost at all just because it's a pure whiff punisher. But it's a very, very good whiff punisher, with same with something like this, or same with something like down back 3+4, which is a very fast, long range mid whiff punisher, right? Playing defensively, bait whiffs, do that, create space, very good. Whiff punishing buttons, they're there. So yeah, very good character when it comes to that. And other than that, she also has counter hits like down back 2, you know, still has that, which is a launcher still. And the magic force sometimes can launch as well if the Nina player knows the combo. I personally don't know the combo, and it's good enough. I think it requires a little bit of a mini dash down forward 1 or something like that. I don't remember. That can also counter it. Back 4 is still here. It doesn't guarantee up forward 2 anymore. This was guaranteed in the previous games. But it says a 14 frame high launcher that guarantees this right here, which is still a launch. The high counter launcher, just because this is guaranteed. right? And then she can do, I don't know, whatever combo Nina players do. I'm pretty sure this will deal at least 70 damage with the right combo. I'm just not doing a good combo there. So this is still a counter hit tool. Back to 2 is still really strong because this is all guaranteed on counter hit. So you have to be very, very careful when it comes to this character's counter hits, pressure, and defense. So pretty good, pretty damn good character. But now let's talk about her moves. First, let's talk about down forward 1-2 because this is gonna be the most common thing you will see when facing against the Nina, right? So normally down forward 1-2 is pretty steppable to one side, and the other side not that steppable. You'll basically get hit almost every time if I try to step this to the left. Well, if you step it to the right, more or less steppable. But you also have to be careful of that second hit, because if you step into a button, that second punch may sometimes track you. So you have to be careful there. There you go, tracked me there. If I did something slower, I would have gone hit and, you know, nothing in return. So sometimes sidewalking can be good in this situation, or wait for this, and then punish it, right? But the main thing about down forward 1-2 is that Nina players usually use it in a way that it's not that steppable. Like, obviously they won't just jab it to down forward 1-2 most of the time, right? Just so you can step it to the right. They will most likely do down forward 1-2 to sidestep cancel down forward 1-2, which makes it 100% harder to sidestep it. Like, I wish I could lab this just so I could show you guys. Maybe I can do it, I don't know. Let me try just one more time, just so I don't waste too much time. No. I can't do it correctly. I'm trying to do it fast. Like, that's too slow. There you go. I'm guessing I can still showcase it, though. Like, if you sidestep right immediately after, this will just track you. And of course, you can't just sidestep it to the left, as I already said. But if you time it correctly on the sidestep, then you can sidestep it. But it has very good tracking. Very, very good tracking. Makes it so much harder. It's so much harder to actually deal with this. It's a bad habit to always play within frames. It's not a bad habit, but it's a lack of adaptation, basically. Of course, you can like press a few buttons here to actually stop the Nina player from doing some stuff, but it's very, very risky. Usually just backdashing away is the correct thing to do, but it's very hard to actually get away from Nina. The Nina player does this correctly. Something like down forward 2 may not work either, because it's too slow. As I said, I can't lab this correctly because I'm doing this so slowly. I'm pretty sure the Nina player will be able to do it so fast, like our down forward 2 just won't work. So you have to be careful there. And as I said, try to look up this cancel and how it works. Because there are like a few options that you can do. Sometimes jab interrupt. Sometimes you can like backdash away as fast as possible. Sometimes you can time your sidestep, but the timing sidestep part is very hard. So be very, very careful about this move. It's a very, very good move. And jails as well, obviously. You can't duck the second time. But what makes this move so good is also the string part of it. Like, this has strings. This 4 is like a classic one. So for example, the Nina player sees you pressing after down forward 1-2, because you know she's cancelling all the way and you just want to stop her from cancelling and pressuring you. Sees you stepping, you will get countered by this. You can down jab here, but of course the down jab will have its own option to get beaten, like a low parry or something similar. The new thing she got after down forward 1-2, let me record this again, is the down forward 1-2 1+2. So this is the new follow-up, which is basically the same as the high launcher, but the difference is that if you don't duck this one, this first one, it jails. Like, these guns are jailing, and they're safe. It's -9. Does chip damage as well. So that's the biggest difference with the two. But if you do duck the 4, you'll also automatically duck this. And obviously you'll want to launch this. Obviously. So you have to be very careful. And that string also exists after 1-2. Exactly the same thing. Since I mentioned that, this is also important to mention. So 1-2-1 and down forward 1-2-1. Exactly the same. And 1-2-4 is exactly the same as down forward 1-2-4. Very, very similar. Like, these strings are very similar because of that. But I think the biggest difference is the 1-2 is more of a pressure tool than down forward 1 just because how fast it comes out. It's a high instead of a mid, but still. It's also better frames. That's like the main difference. And yeah, down forward 1-2, I almost forgot to mention this. Also have the 1+2 option, which is a mid. If you duck, you're gonna get hit, right? Which is -14. And the 1-2 also has the 1+2 option, which is, you know, also a mid. And if you duck, you will also get hit. So that's why you'll sometimes you will see that people just don't duck there, and they will just block the highs instead, just so they don't risk getting hit by the mids. So 1-2 mid or down forward 1-2 mid, pretty scary. Plus it's -14, right? If you have it down, Kazuya players will be able to launch this, but the block stun isn't the most easy thing to get used to. There, I did that. That was a punish. But usually, if you don't want to do the -14 electric, which is, you know, hard to do, you can also punish with down back 1-2, which is pretty good punish because it's a heat engager. Or back 1-2. Your choice, right? So be very careful when it comes to, you know, sidestep cancels. So 1-2 sidestep cancel, because if they bait you to press something, they will usually finish with a 4 or something just to counter hit you. Like 1-2 sidestep cancel into another 1-2 sidestep cancel, maybe something like this, right? I'm doing it slowly, but it might look something like this, pretty similar. So be careful about that. And that kind of pressure can also start from forward 4. So now let's transition to forward 4. So forward 4 is a new move Nina got. It's basically a full screen mid. Let me see, like 3.4. There we go. It still reaches. Basically, like more than 3 range. This will just reach you. Full screen mid. That is cancelable with the sidestep, right? Sidestep cancel. Something like that. So that sidestep pressure can also start from forward 4. This move right here. So it's a full screen mid, and usually the way you want to beat this is you want to sidestep it. You want to sidestep it, and then punish it. Right? Usually that's how you want to beat it. And it's pretty linear, more or less to both sides, but I think it's a little bit more linear to the left than to the right. Because sometimes I see this catching me to the right, while it won't catch me to the left. So that's forward 4 pressure in general. And I'm saying to be very fast with the punishment as well, because she can also sidestep cancel on whiff, which is, I don't know, it's really dumb. It's very, very dumb. Can she also do that with 1-2 on whiff? She can. But yeah, it's very hard to punish that sidestep cancel sometimes. So that's why I'm telling you guys to be very fast with your electrics, for example. So let's say you do this into an electric, right? And if you're a little bit slow, they'll just block it. So that's why you have to be really quick with this electric. Or any kind of punish that you do. Right? Damn, that just whipped. That's crazy. So yeah, be very, very quick with that. So if you do predict this happening, like this just, you know, the Nina player using this, try to sidestep to the left and 100% launch it, because it's that strong. You have to be launching it. Hannibal, hello. But also the funny part about this move is that the sidestep isn't the only thing they can do. It also has a follow-up, which is a high, right? It's a high heat engager. So let's say you sidestep this and you want to punish it. And if you're too slow, you'll also get hit by the high. Right? This actually makes it really hard to sidestep and punish this correctly with an electric, unless you're very quick with it. So you have to be very, very careful in those kind of situations. Of course, it's a high, right? You can actually duck this. But I find ducking this is a little bit weird most of the time. Maybe it's because of a new move. I personally don't duck it enough in my matches. But you have to duck it if you predict it. But if you duck it, then the player will pressure you, right? Obviously, if you duck it, forward 4 into sidestep pressure will just continue, and you're gonna get pressure. So be careful about that. But other than that, forward 4, this can also be used as a whiff punisher, because this is natural. I don't know why it's natural, but it's natural, right? And not only is it natural, it's a combo in heat. I also don't know why it is, but it is. So, yeah, be very, very careful there. The sidestep down forward 2 would be good here. It won't be good because if you do the sidestep down forward 2, she will not get countered if she just sidesteps. Sidestep cancels. So you will just hit the down forward 2, which really doesn't give enough. It's not good enough punishment, basically. She needs it? Yes, she does. So forward 4 is an amazing, amazing move. It's very, very strong. And what makes it so strong is the sidestep cancel. That's one of the things. Now let's talk about the other new move she got. Down back 1+2. So this move I'll just mention briefly, because you can't really do much about this move. Other than, you know, when you block it, just punish it. So this move is a high mid, which is basically Nina's 11 frame punisher, right? The only reason I'm mentioning this is Nina players sometimes will throw this out. Sometimes. It's not that rare. It's not that often that you see this. Just to get a heat engager. And you can actually electric this if you do have the timing. The electric timing here is not the hardest, in my opinion. Like, if you practice, it can happen. I haven't practiced enough personally. Sometimes I can punish it, right? But just remember that punish this as much as you can. So either down back 1-2, back 1-2, just 100% punish it. Because other than that, you can't really deal with this move. Because it's a 2-hit move. It tracks a little bit. You can step it, but you won't be stepping this out of, like, what's it called? Prediction. Like, I'm predicting this is gonna do this move. It's not worth predicting this move. This is a punisher. And it's very strong. So whenever this hits you, it's a heat move. It's a heat engager. At least it doesn't launch. But it's very strong. 11 frame punisher. So be aware of this move. Other than this, there are also a few changes that Nina got. With some new stuff. Like back to the +4, for example. It's a new move she got. Which it transitions into the guns. This is a long range whip punisher. So what you'll see Nina players do is if they try to create space, which I said Nina is actually very good defensively just because her whip punishment is so good and her space creation with this is so good. If they see you whip something, maybe they will try to punish you with this. And knowing this move is very, very important because if they do try this and they are a little bit late, let's say you whiff something and they try to punish you, but they're late and it doesn't actually punish you. That's why you need to know about this move and actually duck it. It's very, very important. By the way, the gun moves change a little bit in heat, but I'll talk about them later in the end, just like I always do. I'll talk about heat in the end. So be very, very aware of the situation. So if you whiff something and Nina player does something like this, you know, something like this kick, visually. Just know that these guns are usually coming. Right? She does have a mid as well. It's a kind of a mix-up, which is messed up that she has it. It's really messed up. But this mid is not natural, so they will not be using this as a whiff punisher. So if you whiff something and you block this, there's 100% guns incoming. 100%. But let's talk about the mid as well, because I did mention it. So this is not natural. You can actually block it. And they will usually not use this almost ever. Just because it's launch punishable, right? You can actually electric this, but the block stun is so weird that for me personally, it's a little bit hard to electric. The block stun is very weird. I'm just not sure when the block ends for me to electric it. That was too slow. So it's very, very weird. So if you want to be very safe, punish with down forward 1-2. Into a heat engager. Or, you know, if you want a knockdown, you can back to 1-2 or down back 1-2. Anything works. You can also electric if you get the block stun down, but the block stun is very weird. As I said, it's very weird. I cannot tell when I can electric. I actually start the electric. Looks more unsafe? Yeah, it does look more unsafe, but it's only -15. And it's hard to electric just because of that. Well, not just because of that, obviously. The block stun is very weird. So you have to be careful about that. But as I said, you won't see this that much. This into the 3. You won't see this that much. Okay. That's the new addition she got. Also, it's very important to know the lows that she has. She can use the lows for pressure or just to annoy you. Both of them. And like this, as a space creator, is also amazing. Down 2 into backdash, right? So down 2 is one of the lows she has, which is a very long range low. Like 2.5 range, something like that, I guess. Somewhat like that. 2.5 basically. Very, very long range low. That is 0 on hit. Does 13 damage, high crushes, and does not have a counter property. Right? So by itself, it doesn't have a counter property. But down 2, it's important to know that it has a follow-up, and the follow-up is actually new. Before this, the follow-up was a high, but now down to 2, it's a low mid. And when I was first playing against Nina players, I was always ducking after down 2, even on hit, because I thought the high was coming, and I was just getting wall splatted by the mid, because I did not remember it's a mid now. It's very, very important to realize this. Sometimes, you know, you duck with muscle memory if you're, you know, a player from Tekken 7, but yeah, mid. So it's important to just hold back here. The bad thing here is that you can't really sidestep it or do anything. Even on block, you can't really do anything. So you have to be punishing this with the -12 on block. Well, you can also, technically, I think you can punch parry. You can. But Kazuya's punch parry is actually worse than any of his 12 frame punishers, so why would you do that? Just do the back 1-2. Makes no sense to punch parry here. Unless you're playing someone with a good punch parry, maybe Asuka, right? If I was labbing Asuka versus Nina, I would be telling you guys, okay, if you predict this, maybe punch parry. Because, you know, free launcher. It must be nice to have a good punch parry. But, yeah. Other than that, you have to wait. Punch parry works, but it's not worth it. Almost 100% of the time, it's not worth it. Wait for it on block, punish it with back 1-2. Way, way better than the punch parry. I think even 1-1-2 is better than the punch parry. So, yeah, be very careful about that. And down 2 by itself, let's talk about this a little bit more. It's -12, so you cannot TP this. And it tracks very well to one side. Well, it kind of tracks very well to both sides in a way too. But there are situations where you can step this to the left. Or walk it is more accurate. But it has very good tracking. Most of the time you will not be able to step this. So be very, very careful. It is a little bit on the slower side, it is 20 frames, but you still won't be able to see this most of the time. Most of the time it's not seeable. So be very, very careful about this. So that's one of the lows she uses to, you know, start pressure, because very long range low, starts pressure with 0. And if she sees you pressing something, maybe she will, you know, either challenge you or sidestep you. So be very careful about down 2. Because usually you do respect it just because this exists. Don't forget that the second mid existing means that you're respecting the move on hit. So that means Nina player will pressure you. So be very careful. And especially be careful of this specific flowchart. Some Nina players might use this. Down 2 into while staying 4-3. So if you do try to check with the 13 framer here, this will just catch you on counter hit. This is just a flowchart. And remember that after while staying 4, Nina has a string. This is just a flowchart, it's a setup, kind of like a setup. So be aware of the setup. Duck the second high here, after while staying 4, and punish it. This also has a follow-up with guns. All this is guaranteed on counter hit, by the way. So be very, very careful about that. Okay, other than that, the next low I want to talk about is down back 3. This is also a very long range low. I think this is like 2.5 as well, something like that. Like, look at the range that it can have. Very, very long range. Pretty good. And counter hit that guarantees something like 4-4-3. That's guaranteed. It also guarantees something like this. Not that, like that. There you go. That flip over. That is also guaranteed if the Nina player does the correctly. So it's very strong on hit, because it's +4. On counter hit, because it also does that, you know, guarantees a pretty good chunk of damage. And the big thing about this, hello, is that it also has decent tracking. It doesn't have that much tracking to the right, which is its main weakness. So sidestep right will be usually the way to avoid this. But as I said, the previous low, which is down 2, won't be avoided by this. So it's still a little bit iffy to sidestep to the right. But that's why I kind of wanted to sidestep Nina to the right most of the time, because in case they do down back 3, maybe I'll avoid it. Or in case they do down 4-1-2, maybe I'll avoid it. So sidestep right is usually the way I personally go. Maybe that's a mistake, but yeah, personally that's what I do. And the down back 3 is also -13. This is a very, very big thing in this matchup. That down back 3 is launch punishable. Right? for Kaz, specifically. But you have to be careful about that move being blocked at like very long ranges, like this. So that makes it whiff, because of the problem TP has in general, the Twin Pistons, you know. The range it has isn't the best, but most of the time, this is punishable by Twin Pistons. It's very, very important to remember. Okay, now let's talk about the most annoying law she has, especially for Kaz. It's very, very annoying to deal with this. I think this is what makes this matchup a little bit iffy. It's sidestep 4. So sidestep 4 has always been very, very hard to deal with as a Kazuya player. Because it's a sidestep move, makes it very hard to sidestep. Even though I think it's kind of steppable sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's steppable, but most of the time this will track you. It's very unreliable to step this, because 1, it's a sidestep move, and 2, it has slide tracking. It has good tracking to the right, and the slide tracking to the left. So now let's talk about this move a little bit more. Why is this so hard to deal with as Kaz? 1 is because you can't really use your movement options against it, right? 2 is because it has so much range. You actually can't backdash it most of the time, right? It's decent. 3 is even if you do backdash it, let's say you backdash it, you most likely won't be able to punish this unless you forward 3. Most of the time. It also down back 1 too if you're like really good, like dash into it, or close enough. But most of the time this is gonna be hard to punish. But yeah, down back 1 too, I'm just so glad we have this move now. Because usually we wouldn't be able to do anything about that. Except for forward 3, which is not, it's not worth it. Okay, but now the most important problem that I think Kazuya has is the block situation. So this move on block is normally -14. You would think, okay, isn't that good? You can TP this, right? You would think, okay, this is good. Matchup's pretty decent just because of that. No, it's horrible. Because the most of the time that you block this is in this situation. You see this? This is the 99% of the blocks that you will have against this move. This right here. What does this do? TP whiffs. That's exactly what it does. Oh, Waltzing 4 also whiffs. Isn't that fun, guys? Fun little move. I love this move. So most of the time when you block this, you just can't punish it. Even this whiffs. Everything just whiffs. I cannot punish this most of the time. This just sucks. It really sucks. But not only is that an issue, like that already was an issue in Tekken 7 as well, right? It didn't change much. Like the best thing you can do is this, and hope it reaches. Because I think this is the best thing we have with the long range from all standard. 4-4 as well, but at least you won't get launched if this gets blocked. So yeah, that sucks. But now she also has something new, which is a sidestep for, is it a 1+2 or a 2? It's a 2. So this is a new addition. Sidestep for 2. So not only can we not punish it, even if we do try to punish it, sometimes we will get countered by this move. So it adds an extra layer to this mind game that was already bad for us. It was already really bad. Now it's worse. Right? So you have to duck, stay ducking, and then punish it. And what makes it even worse, this move is very dumb, is that you cannot duck this on hit. This jails. It's not duckable. So if you get hit by this, well, too bad. You can't duck the high. Go back to neutral. So, very strong move. Very, very strong move. The only thing that I can kinda say about this move that's okay-ish is that it doesn't counter at launch anymore on normal hit. Like this used to counter at launch. It doesn't have a counter property anymore unless they continue. Unless they continue this, which is still a launcher. And it will deal a lot of damage if the Nina player does the right combo here. So this move is super dumb. I don't know why it exists. I'm gonna be honest. Why did they add this follow-up? Why? I wish they made this at least -16 on its own. At least. Speedlab? Yes, it's a speedlab. Because it makes it a very, very dumb move right now. Because this jails. It's very dumb. Okay, so I talked about this. Down 2, down back 3. Usually these are the main lows. Before in Tekken 7 I would have talked about down 4-1 as well. But I briefly mentioned this because, you know, down forwards got nerfed a little bit. You won't be able to see this spammed too much. But down forward 1 can still be used relatively well by good Nina players. But obviously, you know, you can duck this. But it's not as strong just because of the down forward nerf. That's why you don't see it as much. But be careful about this, especially in round ending situations. Let's say you have like 1 HP left. And Nina player does this just because if you block low and try to punish it, you'll get hit by the high. So be careful about something like that. Be very, very careful. Other than that, the other low Nina players also uses the down 3, which is also changed from the previous again. So down 3, let's talk about down 3. Specifically down 3-4 and the other extension as well. Cash, thank you for following. So down 3-4-3, I think that's a 3, right? Yeah, down 3-4-3. So usually, the best way to deal with down 3 was to sidestep this last hit, this last one right here. But what happened in this game is that they made this basically tracking. Not tracking, but you can't sidestep this anymore. Right? You cannot step this. If you have a kick parry, you can kick parry it. It's very, very good to do, actually. I would encourage all of you guys with characters that have a kick parry to parry this. It will be very, very good. But Kazuya doesn't have one. We can't do anything about this. And by anything, I mean we can't do literally anything if we block the second hit. So we have to block this. Being -7, you can't even punish it. But why is this move strong? Doesn't really do much, right? The first, you know, the low is kind of annoying, but it doesn't really do much. What makes this move strong is that all of this is guaranteed on counter hit. So let's say the Nina player does a down 3, and you press something at like bad timing. That's all guaranteed. You cannot block this anymore. So what Nina players do is they will maybe do down forward 1-2 into this string. Just so if you do something like a 1-2, let's say you do 1-2, you will get counter hit. Maybe like I'm doing 1-1. I'm just gonna get counter hit. Crazy. Oh, Kuku, thank you, man, for the 3 streams. Big thank you. So yeah, it's very, very good. So be aware of this. Now, how do you deal with this? Just because I said that you can't deal with this almost at all. What I was saying there was that you can't deal with the last hit if you block the second one. The second high. What you can do is play the mind game of kind of a 50-50. So down 3-4 is duckable on hit. So down 3, duck this, launch with while staying 2. This will require some practice. For me personally, I'm still not used to this because I'm very much used to sidestepping the last hit. I'm very much used to that. So what you have to do is duck this and launch Nina for this. 100% of the time, you do this. Do not let her get away with it. And you know, do your optimal combo. Do as much damage as possible. Because Nina deserves it. So, that's usually what you do for the down 3-4. But down 3 actually has a mid after it as well. But thankfully, it got nerfed. So down 3-2. So usually this mid was a normal hit launcher, but it got nerfed. It's not anymore. But if you duck it, Nina player is +12 here. And this +12 actually can guarantee stuff at the wall. So let me demonstrate that. So this mix-up actually becomes very scary. And I mean very, very scary at the wall. So something like this is guaranteed. You see this, right? That's guaranteed. You cannot block this. Lyric, thank you for follow. So you have to be extra careful about playing this mix-up in mind game at the wall. Because this suddenly becomes a 80 damage launcher at the wall. Right? This into this is guaranteed. Wall splat into a lot of damage, basically. With the tornado here, basically 60 damage at least. Maybe 70 if the right combo, I'm not sure. But it's very, very scary. So I demonstrated that. Let's go back to the non-wall situation. But the good thing to know about this is that at least it's punishable. Right? It's -11. It's not the best of punishes. But the good thing about this is that we're playing gods. Our back 1-2 is 11. So our back 1-2 is actually a pretty decent punish for this. You can either 1-1-2 here or back 1-2. Both of them will work. Okay. So this is a very important mind game to realize. I mean, like, as I said, I'm still not used to it personally. But at least knowing this will get you used to it sooner or later. I still have to get used to it personally as well, as I said like millions of times, but yeah, you'll get used to it. So yeah, down 3. It's also very strong just because all of this is guaranteed on counter. Very, very good. These are usually the lows that Nina players go for, usually. But Nina players also use a lot of keep out tools sometimes. So the keep out tools are usually either down 4-2 or CD1. So let's talk about these two moves as well. So down 4-2 is basically like a generic down 4-2, 15 frame mid, that launches people that are not crouching. So if you're crouching this, it will not launch you. But this is basically a keep out move that Nina players use to basically say, you know, stay away from me. Or they will either do a sidestep into a down 4-2, to maybe catch you, either dashing in, pressing something, or just to whiff punish you with like very minimum risk. So this down 4-2 serves multiple purposes. One's a keep out, something like this. Second one's a whiff punisher with a very little risk. You know, it's safe. I think it's -7. -7. I don't know how I remembered that, but I did remember it. So it is very, very good. And it's also usually not that easy to deal with, because even though it's a stepple to the right, as you guys can see, it also has very good track to the left. This is like pure tracking to the left side. But you can sidestep it to the right and avoid it. But the way Nina players usually use it, especially the good ones, is it makes it very, very hard to whiff punish. Because they usually will not do a down 4-2 unless they do some kind of movement first. So imagine something like a backdash down 4-2, sidestep down 4-2, something similar. And that makes it track really, really well. And that makes it very hard to sidestep it. So usually the way to deal with this is the keep out version. You have to make it whiff and then whiff punish it. Which is also hard. Down 4-2 actually recovers very quickly. So you have to be ready for it, basically. You have to be ready for the down 4-2 on whiff, because that's one of the keep out options they have. Nina players, I mean. And the other one is CD1, right? I talked about this already. This is a long range, 14 frame high. That's +1 on block. Leaves Nina close, which is very good, right? Usually if you're plus, you want to be close. Unlike something like an electric, which is +5, right? But basically go back to neutral. You can't use this +5. Unlike this +1 is almost in your face. It does create a little bit of space, but if the Nina player wants to, he can still pressure you. So you have to be a little bit careful here. It also tracks decently well because it's a crouch dash move. Right now I can step it, right? But if the Nina player does this correctly, she can actually make this track really well. And it tracks almost perfectly to the right. Almost like perfect tracking. So if you do want to step this, you have to step it to the left. But even then, it's gonna be harder. Oh, and also this move, it's counter launch it. It also deals a lot of damage. I messed up the combo, but it deals a lot of damage. I think she can do, I don't know, 70 something damage at least. Maybe even 80. If you do the correct combo here with a little bit of execution. But yeah, it deals a lot of damage. So this is a very good move to look out for. If you want to sidestep it, you have to be sidestepping to the left because it has full track to the right. I know I said that I usually want to sidestep Nina to the right, but this is the exception. This is an exception. And speaking of CD moves, like crouch dash moves, this right here, she also has a low from here, which Nina players will sometimes use in longer range situations. Like, let's say Nina players up close, you'll almost never see this. Almost never. It's very, very rare for you to see this. But in this range right here, then you will suddenly start seeing it. Right? So let's talk about this move. So this CD3 can have decent tracking in longer ranges. Like this kind of ranges, if you do sidestep, sometimes it might track you just a little bit. But it's more or less steppable. Right? But it still has a bit of tracking, so be aware of that. Other than that, you have to realize that this move is -20. And at its best, it can become, how many frames is that? 9? -11. So if it's very far away, there you go. I actually did it. Damn, that was perfect. So it became -11 there. So that's at its best. But most of the time, you will be able to TP this. I'm not saying to while standing through this, because it might become less than -16 in some situations. Long range situations, right? But TP will almost certainly work almost 100% of the time. Because it's very rare for it to become less than -13. Very, very rare. So TP is a very good option, and try not to wall staying too much. Sometimes you can, especially when you know it's very up close. You can actually visually confirm, okay, it's up close, let me just wall staying 2 for more damage, right? Because you obviously wall staying 2 is way better than wall staying 1-2. But if you want to stay safe, wall staying 1-2, it's pretty good. Other than that, Nina players also have good checking tools in their crouch dashes, like a crouch dash 2, which is a very, very good checking tool to just check you from not doing anything, or sometimes not even stepping. So something like this, not after a jab, I mean like in the neutral, right? Can be very strong, because this has decent tracking, especially to the right, which is usually the way you want to step, right? But full tracking to the right, which is also a heat engager. So it's very strong. If you want to avoid this, you have step to the left, and you will catch Nina's back. But you'll get hit by something like down forward 1, which has very, very good track to the left. Or she might use some of the tracking moves, which she has a lot of. Take for follow. So be careful about that. Be very, very careful about that crouch dash. Okay. She also has this while staying 4. Like, the thing about this crouch dash is, and most crouch dashes, is that she can cancel moves into while standing moves, right? Crouch dash while standing 4, crouch dash while standing 3. It can happen. Crouch dash while standing 1, which can be very common and very annoying. It can also happen. So be very, very careful. Okay. Other than that, let's talk about some of her mid checks as well. And I think the most important ones is down forward 3. And this, what's the input? 1+4. I forgot what I was pressing. So 1+4 and down forward 3 is one of the best ones. And down forward 3 especially is important because now it has something new that we have to remember. So usually down forward 3 either had this follow-up, which is a high, or this follow-up, which is also a high. So you could always duck this. No matter what, you could duck the follow-ups. And down forward 3 by itself is also a good move. It's a 13 frame mid, 14. I think I said that already. So it's a 14 frame mid, long range, 0 on hit, does 13 damage. Right? This is -11, you can actually punish this. It's Kazuya with back 1-2. Like, back 1-2 is a very, very consistent punish here. But usually you won't be able to punish this because, you know, strings. And the strings include this, which I already mentioned, that you can duck. This, which is a delayed high, you can also just keep on ducking it. But the problematic string, which got added, is down forward 3-3. So this is a new move. So mid into the mid. And you cannot step this. You can only do a sidewalk to the right. Because if you sidestep to the right, sometimes it will clip you, like this. Because whenever I try to sidestep right block, most of the time I just block this anyway. Best way to deal with this is to sidestep it, like fully, without committing to a block. Or sidewalk it. This is one of the best ways to deal with this, but under no circumstances try to sidestep to the left. If you sidestep left, it will just catch you, but sidewalk will work. So sidewalk either direction works, but sidestep I do not recommend either direction. Right is a bit more consistent, but I still don't recommend it. Sometimes it will clip you. But if you do block it, it is -10. So at least punish it. So this is very, very annoying. But after down forward 3, sidestep right, like this. Don't commit to a block, or sidewalk right block. That will be pretty good to avoid this, and then launcher for it. Usually that's what you want to do against that. Okay. But if you sidestep after it, they might catch you with the jabs, obviously. Blocking is the way. If you want to stay super safe, you can also block. Yes, blocking is also very, very good. But now let's talk about this move right here, which I think is one of the best moves, best mid checks Nina has. So this move is a 15 frame mid. It does do damage. I think it's like 24, right? 24, decent damage. But the biggest thing about this move is that it tracks really well. You can actually sidestep it to the right, but it has full tracking to the left, and sometimes it will just track you if she has enough plus frames. So if she does this into this, on hit, I think this just becomes tracking. Even on P2. I mean, obviously right now I can't sidestep it, because I'm P1. but it has very, very good tracking, even on the right side sometimes. But if you do want to avoid it, or try to avoid it, you have to sidestep to the right. But on block, you cannot do it. But yeah, this is like showcasing the little bit of tracking it has to the right side, right? Look at this. Unless you sidewalk it, you can't avoid this. And full tracking to the left. So it's very strong. It's very, very strong. Okay. That was a misinput. Okay. So yeah, be careful about this. Very, very careful. Because the good Nina players will use this to just trap you. Obviously, you can power crush through it. I think you can also punch parry this. I'm not too sure. But be very, very careful about this mid check. The one other thing I also wanted to mention is down forward 1. 1, 2. How do I cancel this? There you go. Can be cancelled into crouch dash. How do I cancel it? Forward, there you go. And this down forward 1, 2 crouch dash cancel, I think got buffed a little bit, because down forward 1, 2 crouch dash cancel while standing 4, you will also see this a lot. This actually will beat a lot of the checks. It will trade with 11, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if I... Yeah, it's 0 into 11. Okay. So this will trade with 11 framers, and 10 framers will beat it. Right? I think this was a buff. So be very careful about this sequence right here. And down forward 1 crouch dash sequence in general. Like down forward 1 to crouch dash 1. Let's say you jab the 4, right? I think if the Nina player does this correctly, she can high crush your jabs and counter hit you. Or maybe do a 3 here. Basically, she has good options to avoid your jabs. So if she has options to avoid the jabs, what do you usually do against this? One of the best things you can do is to sidestep the 4 while standing 4. Right? Usually while standing 4 is a pre-steppable, and it's the same in this case. But you have to be very careful about stepping this here, because you have to actually time the step. You can't immediately step. Right? Right now I'm getting hit. I'm stepping both sides and the while standing 4 is tracking me. But if you time it, basically you have to like expect it. And time the step into the electric. But other than that, it's very hard to immediately step it, which is pretty BS if you ask me. It's very, very BS. Right? Even if you sidewalk instantly, hits you. Either side. And you can't backdash it either. Too much range. So you have to time this and actually step it according to the timing. So you can't do it immediately. You have to be expecting this. Literally predict this. Unless you predict it, it's still hard to step. God damn it, man. I mean, you guys saw me step it a little bit. This is actually so dumb. I can't step it anymore. There we go. Oh my goodness. But yeah, this is a very, very dumb move in my opinion. Like, this flowchart is very dumb just because how much tracking while standing 4 has in that situation. But yeah, as I said, if you time it correctly, you can't do it. You can either time it correctly or do jabs like a 10 frame. You can also power crush there, or kick parry if you have it, if you do predict it. But I'm guessing you guys saw how much I got hit just by trying to step that. So it's pretty inconsistent. It's not easy to do. Like, not at all. Which is very dumb. It should not be like this. Definitely should not be like this. And it tracks so well because of the crouch dash. It's just that strong. Okay. What else to talk about? There are some flowcharts that I can talk about as well. But let's just talk about heat. Let's go in heat now. So in heat, Nina players usually will use their heat engagers a lot. More than they will use their actually heat moves that got, you know, powered up. Which are usually the guns. So the powered up versions are basically for punishments. So in heat, Nina gets powered up guns, basically extra hits. I think like 3 more hits, something like that. Normally it's 4, I think. So 2 more hits. And does way more damage. And covers all kind of gun moves. Same with back 3+4, which I already covered. So this will become a wall splat from very, very long range. It's also a whiff punisher. So it becomes way, way better, not better, but way more important to duck these when they mess up, right? The punishment. But now, here comes the hard part. When they do this, you have to remember to duck for a long time. Right? Normally your muscle memory might tell you, okay, let me just punish the 3 shots because normally it's 3 shots. But you have to be ducking a longer time because of the heat. But the good part is the guns recover very slowly. So no matter how much you duck here, let me do that again, you will be able to punish this. So make sure to duck for a long time. And I mean a long ass time. Because you have the time to do it. You don't need to just guess when they stop because the not block, but the whiff is good. Because the whiff is very, very bad. Just wait for it and punish it accordingly. So, very, very important to wait for it because extra gunshots. And this is the same for every gunshot. Even this. Let me demonstrate that as well. So this. Extra gunshots. Exactly the same. You have to duck for a longer time. But it's not that big of a problem because, you know, the whiff recovery is very, very bad. Okay. Other than that, in heat, you have to look out for heat engagers as well. Something like this is very strong. I think I mentioned this being a launcher. Which is really dumb. Like, it deals a lot of damage. If I do the right combo, I can deal 80 damage, I'm pretty sure. But be very careful about that. The high becomes way more likely to happen after forward 4 because of the heat. So maybe duck after forward 4 sometimes just because of that. And the first thing that you can expect, which is the most common thing, which is also pretty broken in my opinion, is not that. This. Forward 1+2. So forward 1+2. Normally, so let's talk about this move a little bit. Without heat. So normally it's a 17 frame fast mid. That's a power crush. That's -14 on block. Right? Even deals chip damage if they're in heat, but that's just a mid property. So it's power crush mid, it's 1 hit. But why do I call it broken? The main reason I call this move broken is because of the property it has on hit. Not that one. I'm misinputting. This. So it's a heat engager, right? So if you guys thought high heat engagers that are safe was the problematic, Nina has a mid hit engager. It's not safe. At least it's not safe when she's outside of heat. So a mid hit engager, that's -14 normally, it's not launch punishable. But in heat is why it becomes so broken. Because she can literally throw this out as a panic tool whenever she wants to. Not that. Why am I doing back 1+2? And still stay safe because a heat dash can happen. So let's say you're pressuring a Nina player, and Nina player is like, okay, let's nope out, and I want to power crush the panic move. So she's gonna do forward 1+2, power crush through one of your moves, if you keep on the pressure. But if you don't keep on the pressure, you're still minus after the power crush. And you can't really do much about this because it's a mid, you know? Of course you can step this, but even if you step this, it has a little bit of slightly tracking to the left side. I don't remember, there was one side that had slight tracking. Wait. Yup, oh my god, that's not slightly. That hit me from the back, so it has a decent tracking to the left. So you have to be very, very careful about that. If you want to step this, you have to go to the right. More or less you have to go to the right, because you can't really do anything else against it. You have to step it. If you block it, you're minus. And it's a power crush. You usually can't do anything about this either. If you do predict it, maybe throw can be a good option. You know, throw speed power crushes, we all know that. But other than that, the move is very strong. You should normally expect it pretty commonly when you go up against Nina. So be very, very careful about this. So that power crush is very, very strong. Other than that, let's talk about the heat smash as well. And I think that's going to be it. So in heat, Nina has a mid heat smash, which is 16 frames fast. Does decent damage, 52. And this also floor breaks, so you have to be very, very careful in floor break stages. So Stratosphere comes to mind in those kind of stages. Be very, very careful because this will deal a lot of damage, like a lot more damage. But now how to deal with this. If you do predict it, you can actually sidestep this to the left more or less safely. It depends, obviously, on how the Nina player uses this, but it's more or less safely stepped to the left side. But on the right side, it might track you. So normally when you sidestep Nina to the right, if you predict the heat smash, you have to sidestep to the left. You guys are seeing this, right? Basically tracking me to the right. I cannot sidewalk it. But if I go left, suddenly I step it. But now comes the second part, which is very, very important about this. So if you do step this, make sure to duck immediately after. Because those gunshots will come out on the whip as well. It's very, very important to sidestep into a duck if you want to punish this. So let's say you sidestep and try to punish instantly, right? You just got gunshot. Call of Duty, basically. Because the gunshots actually come very, very quickly. But the good part is the Nina player has no say. Like, they can't control if the gunshots come out or not. It will always come out if the hit smash whiffs. So what you do is you sidestep, duck, whiff punish. This is how you punish this heat smash. If you predict it. This is the optimal way to do it. I think I labbed this a long time ago, but yeah, in the speed lab it's important to say this as well. The gunshots are high, so don't automatically punish the heat smash first hit, because they will always come out. Duck, and then launch. Usually that will be enough to kill, because if they're in heat and use the heat smash, well, you understand. You'll deal a lot of damage, and this is the way you punish it. But I think that's it, more or less. More or less that's it. I also talked about how BS the character is. I mean, I didn't talk about some of the strings that they made knowledge check you with, but I think I said this in some of the other speed labs as well. I don't know if I said this in the Degan 8 speed labs, but I said that in these speed labs I won't be covering much of the knowledge checks that you have the lab on your own. Like, that's on you. That's gonna be on you. But here I'm just covering most of the moves that you commonly see, how to deal with them, maybe how you can't deal with them because they're broken, because it's Degan 8. But yeah, I think we're good. I think. But yeah, everyone, big thank you for watching. Big thank you for watching, YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next one.